I think you got on my radar maybe 2015, 2016. I think that's when I first reached out.
Yeah.
Because then in 2017, you got Everyday Struggle on Complex. Me and Complex had a long relationship from like 2000 and I think 9 or 8 when I first launched. So when I saw you get on that show, we had already been fucking with each other. So I was like, oh, congratulations. I was happy for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was you, Joe Budden, and Nadeska, right? I'd heard my name came up as they were like going through possible guests, but you know, Joe shut that down obviously, which is fine because I would have done it anyways with Joe. So, anyways, you guys got that show, and I felt like it was a hit because there really wasn't anything like it in the hip hop space, really before or after. To be totally honest, it was a very unique kind of concept. You were popping, Joe was popping, Nadeska was new, but she was the kind of the female voice. And a lot of times when you see,
she's definitely seasoned. Like she's worked at, she's as seasoned as you could be as a journalist. Yeah, maybe a lot of people didn't know her name.
in the industry, but she was not out there putting her name out there, having her own big you know thing like me, you, who you know. Joe, whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was, you know, and I'd been working with Complex. I just wasn't familiar with her name before, but it worked well with the three of y'all. And then with that came a whole bunch of interesting kind of situations.
That show was the best show, Vlad.
It was a great show.
It was the best show, man.
It was a great show.
Let me tell you this. It was what hip hop needed, and it's sad that it didn't become the quintessential, just, you know, platform and voice going into the future. I'm not saying to replace the Breakfast Club, but that's what, if you look at 2022 or 2021 hip hop, right? Last year's hip hop. We're seeing the likes of Nas put out great fucking music. Nas is 48. We're seeing a lot of young artists put out great music. And a lot of times, like, you know, the age gap of hip hop it has been stretched. Yeah. But where people fall on that spectrum of either being able to say, hey, I could listen to a 22-year-old young boy put out music every week, but also I love when Nas put out hip hop.
Or Jay-Z's new album.
Or Jay-Z's
2 Chainz new project, who's also older in his 40s,
It's you rarely find that person. People just, hip hop, they age you out of shit. There's a lot of ageism that goes on.
100%.
What that show did, it brought the conversation into one place. And that's why it was great. Because for me, I was into the Uzis. I loved X. I'm like into a lot of these new guys who have been changing the sound of hip hop and gaining a lot of audience like through their SoundCloud and Instagram. And Joe was just looking at it like, man, that shit is kind of, it's challenging the traditional view of what hip hop has been, but it wasn't about what we both thought. It was about the dialogue. It was that essentially, regardless if it's Nas or Youngboy, they both exist in hip hop, and that discourse, especially when you have two talented motherfuckers and two opinionated motherfuckers, it was gonna go back and forth, and that shit was gonna be fucking golden.